Hey y'all, hey, happy new year. How was your first week? I hope it was pleasant. Mine was a little shaky every now and then, but we held it down. We made it through. Okay, so this year, 2023, we are going to deep dive into a lot of topics. I'm quite sure they'll be familiar with a lot of people and some will not, but I wanted to make sure that I really went all out, like full Monty. I'm bearing it all, or as much as I think would be beneficial to y'all. Anything else, I'm keeping it to myself because that's my business. So today we are going to discuss finding your self-worth after sexual trauma. So just an FYI, this might be a little touchy for some people. So if you are triggered by talks about sexual trauma, then you might want to think twice about watching this. But if you are a victim of it and you want to work on getting past it, this is the perfect video for you. So let's start with how we got here. So last year and for the last 3 years, I have been doing my work. I've been going to therapy. I have been talking with trusted friends and family. I have been really taking the time out to really work on and focus, intentionally working on me. And last year, around July specifically, some things happened and it made me really call myself to the table, have a serious come to Jesus meeting with me. Because by that point, I'm doing the work, but it's still a deeper level of work that I had not tapped into, if that makes sense. So it was kind of surface level. And the things that I needed to really get past, I did not realize I hadn't gotten myself past it. So it became very evident when I found myself super frustrated, super anxious, and just really sad around that time. And then I had to sit down with myself and kept asking myself, well, just why? Like, what is the problem? And I couldn't figure out what the problem was. And then I had a couple conversations with a few different people. One was my mom. And she straight up just asked me, like, why don't you treat my daughter nicely? Like, I'm not the same person. She's talking about me, y'all, but why don't you just treat my daughter nicely? I'm like, I want to treat her nicely, but she just gets on my nerves so bad. And and she was like, I wish you could see yourself the way that everyone around you saw you and loves you, Ralph. And I'm like, Mom, I really want to see myself that way too. But to be real honest with you, I don't really like me right now. And if I could just be done with me, I would. So that's where I was. And she asked me, do you not find yourself worthy of what you're working for or working towards or asking God for? And I'm like, of course I feel worthy, and just brushed it off. And then I had that same question asked of me 2 more times in the same week. So by the 3rd time, I'm like, you know what? No, I don't feel worthy. And then when that particular person asked me why, I didn't really feel I wasn't ready to have that discussion openly at that time because I needed to have that discussion with myself first. So I did. I got off the phone with that person that day, and for the next couple of weeks, I sat with that and I asked myself, well, why don't you feel worthy? And after I really got past the surface level stuff of, I've always felt rejected, and I feel like I don't have a safe place, and I feel like I'm, like I'm out here just trying to be something that clearly maybe I'm not. I don't know. I'm really insecure about a lot of things. It really came back to my childhood and the things that took place that shaped a lot of how I felt and think about myself. One incident being that I was molested by older female cousins. So that was something that started around the age of 5. And then because it started a behavior and built an appetite that is natural, because all humans want that and we are built to be sexual beings, but it was the total wrong time and absolutely wrong people or person, because we shouldn't be doing that with family. At the age of 5 and as a kid, you're not thinking of that. You don't know any better. You're just doing what you're being taught. So now from 5 to 9, I have an appetite for something that I have no idea how to fulfill. And you go about it like you do any other appetite, like sweets or TV or anything else. So you do what you think you can do and you get away with. And then at some point, like I said, at the age of 9, I finally had an aha moment. I'm like, you know what? I don't like the way this makes me feel. And I don't want to do this with anyone else or to anyone else, because I don't want to be the person that's hurting them. Because somewhere in my mind it finally clicked, like, no, we shouldn't be doing this. So but the crazy thing is that at that moment when I decided, like, no, we're not doing this anymore, I told myself some really strong lies, and I believed them. And the lies was that, oh, you're a monster, oh, you're a pedophile, you're a pervert, you're a molester. Now mind you, I'm 9, y'all, but I'm telling myself these things, and I actually believe them about myself. 9-year-old me. And for the next 20 plus years, I believe that shit about me. And I'm saying it like that because I mean it like that. And it shaped a lot of things about me and how I carried myself and how I saw myself for years. Like, the first time I actually heard someone discuss molestation or just sexual trauma, I was 18 at Victory World Outreach Ministries. Shout out to Dr. Bobby Sledge and First Lady Amy Sledge in Huntsville. But he was preaching a message about that. And that was the first time I'd ever heard anyone discuss that issue. And I was like, so it's not just me? What? This is happening? Woo! And it was scary because, get a little, thank you. It was scary because, I had never discussed that with anybody at that point. Like, nobody. And then it gave me the courage to go and have the conversations. So for the family members that I had participating in that with, I was bold enough to actually have a conversation with one of them, like, you know what, hey, I want to talk about something with you that I know we both put in the back of our minds for years, but it has not gone anywhere in my mind, and it's been weighing me down for many years. And I just want to say I'm sorry for doing that to you, with you, whatever. It was not something that should have been done. I did not know any better. And then by the time I finally came to myself, we too late. And that person, I apologized to that person. They forgave me, whatever. Because again, this is all happening when we were kids. And then we moved on. But even after that conversation, I'm still heavy. And I'm still looking at myself like, nope, you're a monster. You're not safe. You shouldn't be around kids. Oh, I went as far at 9 to tell myself that I can't be a mom or a wife one day, because you ain't gonna have enough self-control to keep your hands to yourself. Like, no one's safe around you. Those are the lies I told myself. All right. So now, moving forward, the first time I told an adult family member about it, which was my mom and my nana, same year, it was the Christmas of my freshman year, so I'm 18. And at that point, I find out this is a generational thing. And I'm like, well, damn, so we know this. We know this, but we're not talking about this because we talk about everything. Like, the one thing I really enjoy about both sides of my family is that we're very open and honest about our conversations. There's nothing that's off limits to talk about for the most part with any of my parents or grandparents. But for whatever reason, I'm learning that some things just kind of slip through, and I don't think it's out of wanting to leave stuff out, but it's out of a lot of fear and a lot of shame that's associated with it. And I get it, and I wish that we could get past that. And so here I am trying to do the work to be the person that would get past that, so it not only helps my family, but hopefully helps many hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of families for years to come, especially in 2023. So after the conversation with my mom, my nana, and find out all of that, now I'm like, okay, cool. I am not just fighting something that is a unique individual incident or occurrence that is so unique to just Ralph. I am fighting something that is generations old. Let's pause right there and talk about spiritual warfare. When you think about that some of the things you're fighting or dealing with are things that have been established, possibly since our ancestors, that means that me, little old me, is over here battling a spirit, a demon, whatever you would like to call it, that is possibly hundreds of years old. And that sounds crazy and it sounds intimidating. But guess what? Your girl is here for the fight because I'm sick of it. And if I can help someone else to get past this the way that I have been able to, and I'm still working through it because I have not arrived, y'all, then that's what the heck we're going to do in this year. And I'm going to help you do it as the best I can. All right, so fast forward, getting back to July of last year when I'm having those meetings, when I finally had meetings as in come to Jesus meeting with me. As I finally got past okay, I don't feel worthy, and that's why I don't feel worthy. Now I have to go and have the conversation of, well, why are you still holding on to that against yourself? Because you know that you got to forgive yourself. That's been the one thing that your therapist has brought up, your friends have brought up. Like, Ralph, how are you going to do that? And that was the one thing I could not figure out. Like, well, how do I forgive myself? Because I just didn't see it. I'm like, but I should have just did it. The one thing that really helped me begin to turn the page on that was something that one of my friends and my therapist both brought up, which is, Ralph, you do realize you were a baby too, right? And I was like, what? Oh, I didn't realize that. You're right. Dang, I was a baby. So you're talking about 5 years old to 9 years old. That is, let's put it in months. That means 60 months to about 102 months. If I'm multiplying that wrong, forgive me. But that's not a long time to be on the earth. And you are legitimately doing what you've been taught. It's a behavior like anything else. This behavior just so happened to be sexual. And hey, unfortunately, it happens. So how are you going to show 9-year-old to 5-year-old you grace and finally forgive her? Because she was a baby. And at what point are you going to stop holding her to the standard that you would hold teenage you and adult you to? Because that's not fair. Because I can't expect 5 to 9-year-old Ralph to function and operate in a level of self-control that teenage and adult-year-old Ralph has been. Because that shit hadn't happened since I was 9. Like, not doing it. So how are we going to get past that? And when I finally caught on and like really, really took hold of you were a baby too, it was like, whew, okay. All right. I was a baby too. Okay, cool. Now I took accountability for anything. That's one thing that I've always done. And maybe that's why I was a little bit more difficult, because I probably took more accountability for things and responsibility for things than I should have. But that's how I function. And in the process of that throughout my life, when people or situations bring up things in me and criticism, whether it's good, bad, or ugly, because I've already told myself those negative things about myself, the moment somebody else adds to that, I just automatically believe them. No evidence of what they saying to me. I ain't sit back and question it a little bit. It'll be after the fact, sometimes days, weeks, months, or years, that I finally sit down and tell myself, why did you even believe that? Why didn't you defend yourself? And that was something else that was a problem. I could not defend myself because I believed the worst in myself. So now I'm not even seeing myself properly to even like myself to defend myself. And I'm not liking myself enough to love myself. So now that I've gotten to the root of it, I'm able to do the next step. Which happened around late July, August of last year, which is reframing and reshaping how I've told myself that story. So once I go in to say, okay, Ralph, you were a baby too. Like, you can't hold yourself to those teenage or adult standards. That allowed me to forgive me. Now I gotta take the next step of saying, so who are you? And what are you going to start calling you to counter those things that you've said about you that were complete lies? And I had to do something that my sister and my therapist have been asking me to do and recommending that I do literally since I started my therapy journey 3 years ago, which was practice affirmations, i.e. or AKA declaring and decreeing. And I did not do it for the long time. Cause I'm like, I know how to speak and declare and decree that. I mean, I ain't saying it don't work, but how's that gonna fix this situation? But when I finally did it, I had to list out and write it down. I wrote it down plainly, those things that I wrote those affirmations about me and how I viewed me, so that it would be complete opposition of the lies I've been telling myself for years. So I literally had to write out, I am not a pervert or molester, because I'm not. I'm not. And then I had to go into, I'm able to give and receive love. I like me. I love me. I love who I'm becoming. And it went on from there. And I'm going to be real honest. When I first started writing out and then making myself read them out loud every morning and every night, I did not believe a bit of anything I was reading. I'm like, all right, we doing it. But I did it anyway. And over time, by my birthday, the end of August, I legitimately started believing it. I'm like, well, dang, we out here really doing, we reaching some other ground. Like, okay, I'm proud of you. So after that, the remainder, that last quarter of last year, like, well, a little bit more than that last quarter, it was completely different than the years before. And it really seemed to take a turn in some ways that I have been asking for and praying about, but had not been able to do. And it took me really sitting down with myself to get to the root of why I did not feel like I was worthy to get past it and really begin to do the next steps of work that will allow me to like and love me. Whew, y'all, it has been a journey. It has been a journey, and it's going to continue to be a journey, because all of these things, when it comes to self-love, self-care, and doing your work, this is lifelong work. And that's not to be intimidated by it, but it's just like, showing yourself that extra grace of it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to be something that happens in a week. Sometimes it won't happen in a couple months, but just no matter how you feel about it, do your work. So takeaways from this, and I might make a part 2 of this. When you are trying to do your work and you find yourself kind of like, all right, I've started the surface level stuff, or maybe you haven't started that surface level stuff, but you want to start by just acknowledging how you feel about whatever it is about yourself that you feel, because your feelings are valid. Then once you get to that point of how you've been able to acknowledge how you feel, talk to people that you trust. And if you can't find anybody that you trust, please go find a therapist. I'm like, I scream it from the mountaintops. I tell everybody about this. Everyone should go see a therapist for at least 3 months out your life, just to work through your childhood stuff, because it makes a difference. And you don't realize how much those things in our childhood affect everything for the rest of our lives. So once you find those people that you can trust to discuss these things with, you find that therapist to discuss these things with, from there you have to go back and revisit how you tell yourself that story about you, whatever that situation was, and put a new frame on it. And you're able to put the new frame on it by showing yourself grace. So instead of that negative self-talk that you said concerning that situation and you and your role in it, do not take any more accountability or responsibility than what you should. Meaning, take accountability, but don't take on more than what is actually yours. Like, don't take on that other person's stuff. That wasn't you. That wasn't them. Like, no, you get what I'm trying to say. Take only your portion, and that's it. And then now, after you've taken your portion, now be able to not lie about it, like acknowledge that it happens, but like, hey, you were young too. You didn't know any better too. Or maybe you did know better. I don't know how old y'all are when y'all are going through these things, but allow yourself the chance to forgive yourself and the grace to move forward. And then start talking to yourself better. You got to talk to you and handle you with care. Like, if you don't, then everybody else will be able to handle you recklessly, and that's never going to be a good thing. And it's not going to help you in your process of self-healing, self-care, and self-love. So write out those affirmations. Write out those things that directly oppose the lies that you have told yourself for years. And even though you may not believe it, when you first start reading them, read them anyway. Write them anyway. The more you do it, the more you will believe it, and the more you'll start adding to it. My affirmation started like a little small note in my phone. Now it's like several pages long. It takes me about 5-10 minutes to get through all of my affirmations now. But I'm going to keep adding things to it. I'm going to keep reading things. I know that the more I hear it, the more I believe it. And that's the key. Once you actually believe it, it'll cause everything else to line up and everything else to change. So you won't let people talk to you crazy. You won't allow yourself to put yourself in situations that don't bring you peace or don't bring you joy. You'll start being able to create those healthy boundaries. And those are all things that are truly important in order to make sure you're the best version of you can be. There is limitless power that is awaiting you and the version of you that you have been created to be. But a lot of us, the majority of us, cannot get to that because we're believing a lie about ourselves that either we told ourselves or someone else told us. And I'm telling you right now, it's a lie, it's a lie, it's a lie. You are not a mistake. You are not a problem. You are not a monster. You are not a failure. You are not a waste of time. You are here. You were made with a purpose, fearfully and wonderfully made with a purpose that you will be able to fulfill in this earth if you so choose to. You can do this work. I promise you, you can do this work. And it's not going to be the funnest thing to do. It's not going to be easy all the time. But if you hang in there and stick in there, it will be worth it. And everything about your life will change. Everything and how you attract the things that are meant for you and that were purpose for you in God's perfect will, not permissive will, but perfect will begin to line up, and it will come your way if you do your work. Do not feel bullied by this thing. Don't let it bully you anymore. I can't stand a bully. Don't let this thing bully you anymore, whatever that thing is. You can do this. You are stronger than that. You can get past this, and you will get past this. And once you get past this, oh shit. It is on. I'm telling you, you will be looking at yourself and you almost had that glow like Bruce Leroy and Last Dragon. Like, that's one of my favorite movies. Like, you gonna have that glow, sis. You gonna have that glow, brother. Like, for real. Like, just do your work. And if you would like a part 2, let me know if y'all want a part 2. We'll continue on. We're definitely gonna continue on in self-love, self-care anyway, because we are healing over here, guys. That's all I got. I want to see y'all healed. I want to see us healed. I want to see us continue to do our work, walk in our truth, not walk in any shame or fear, because shame and fear is a bully. And we're not dealing with bullies this year, y'all. It's 2023. Time out for all of that. So that is it. This video has already gone way too long, but I have enjoyed being able to share this with you all. I hope it brings so much healing, wholeness, freedom, liberation, and lets you all get the courage to go do your work. You got this. I will see you all next time. Have a great weekend. Bye.